And we're back now with our feature story tonight on urban loneliness. It's a growing epidemic that many times goes unnoticed in big cities like ours. And joining me tonight is Laura Bliss from the City Lab. Good to have you here, Laura. This is a subject that certainly a lot of people can relate to.
Absolutely. There's a lot of lonely people out there, and I think what people might not realize is that it's actually a health concern.
It is a concern. You hold that thought because we'll talk about a lot of things. But first, Crystal Young introduces us to an award-winning local filmmaker who's using her expertise to bring attention to the problem. Watch this.
In a city of millions, but feeling all alone. Sounds bizarre, but for many, it's a reality called urban loneliness. Director and filmmaker Marlene Rine felt it and had a hunch she wasn't the only one. I met her at the Queen's Room, a quiet cafe that became the perfect place for her to write the web series, The So-So You Don't Know.
I really like your apartment.
Thanks. So, you gonna Uber it or take the train?
What spawned the idea for this web series was I was going through a very deep depression that I couldn't shake. It was like every guy that I met, same thing, emotionally unavailable, didn't want to commit, wanted something casual. It's like everyone just has this fear of missing out, and I couldn't understand how you can meet someone with such chemistry and yet they don't really want you. And I took it personally, and maybe it was low self-esteem.
As a filmmaker, Marlene directed videos for artists like Amy Winehouse and Tupac Shakur. It was Marlene's vision that brought the video, All About You, to life.
He was very spiritual, and you could see that in his presence.
Struggling to make it in the film world and unable to make meaningful romantic connections, Marlene sunk into a depression she just couldn't shake.
I realized I was either gonna self-destruct or create a comedy about this, and I chose the latter.
I guess it wasn't a good idea, maybe.
Why do you say that?
Because I slept with him too soon, and now he doesn't want me. Or he wants me, but only for, you know.
Why?
I don't get out much. City of 8 million people, and I'm like my own lonely. I just didn't want to go home alone again.
Marlene has big dreams of this dark comedy making its way to HBO, but in the meantime, she's encouraged by the reaction to it, which she says has been tremendous.
I've had all kinds of people, even men, real gangster dudes come up to me with tears in their eyes and say, I can relate to that, I went through something like that. And to me, it's so touching to see even married people, everyone feels lonely.
For Marlene Rine, creating this web series has been cathartic. She now realizes there's a big difference between being lonely and being alone.
Inevitably, the message is you have to love yourself first. Stop looking outside yourself. It's not the money, it's not a man, it's not whatever that's going to give you that. It's your own acceptance of who you are as you are right now.
Crystal Young, Fox 5 News.
Crystal, thank you very much. A very strong story. Laura Bliss is back with us, and very personal. I mean, it's hard to imagine, like we said, that, in a city of so many people that you can still have this loneliness. It's more common than we realize.
It's true. It's true. We're surrounded by so many people, but researchers are increasingly looking at a growing sense of social isolation among Americans. In fact, over the last 20 years, there's been a threefold increase among folks who report a sense of social isolation, a lack of someone to
Laura,
to
what do you
confide
think contributes to that feeling? What is it?
That's right. Well, you mentioned cities, right, and how strange it is to feel lonely in a sea of people, but that's part of it. There's more and more of us who are living actually alone, right, in these
especially
urban
here in
centers,
Manhattan.
right, in smaller living situations. A lot more of us are living again alone. We're also living longer lives, right? Americans are aging, and that can actually lead to a loss in your partner, and you might be living further away from your family.
Exactly.
And friends.
You move to a larger city for opportunities, but you give up a lot. You mentioned your family and some close friends. So we talk about how to help people out here, okay? And what are some of the suggestions that can be done?
Yeah, just to underscore why we want to solve for this, right? Medical researchers are increasingly looking at this as a health concern, and even we had a former Surgeon General recently compare the possible health impacts, which include risk for diabetes, heart disease, premature mortality to smoking 15 cigarettes a day.
That's the problem. But what do we do to help out?
What do we do
to
to
encourage
help?
people to socialize and get out there and do
Exactly.
things?
It's kind of common sense, right? It's increasing opportunities for people to make those social connections, whether it's a club, a church choir, intergenerational living, right? More opportunities for people to not live alone, but actually have access to others. It's kind of common sense, right? But it seems like we're losing some of that in our society.
But you have to make an effort too. That's the big thing. And I know that even in London, they've hired somebody now to kind of deal with this problem.
It's really interesting. This has been an issue that's been closely looked at in the UK, maybe more than anywhere. And there was recently, at the beginning of this year, a minister of loneliness who was appointed to kind of oversee
that tells you a lot.
National policy.
Okay, well, let's see what happens here. Laura Bliss, thank you so much for your help today.
Thanks so much for having me.
Okay, thank you. All right, the fashion